There's an old saying that unforgiveness is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die.
Hey, hey, tell me more.
Welcome back to Tell Me More with me, CJ Quarterbaum. Tell Me More exists to help bridge the gap in our intergenerational workplace dynamics and to build better leaders. But we're also here to help you prepare for the future. I'm CJ, writer, teacher, speaker, coach, consultant, advocate, and I'm here to help you figure out how to be the best version of yourself. And one of those ways you're going to be the best version of yourself is by learning the power of forgiveness. Believe it or not, but forgiveness is the key to your future success. And I know that sounds insane, and you're like, CJ, that doesn't make any sense. What can forgiveness possibly do for my future? Everything. It's less about the other person and more about you. It's about you not waiting for the changed behavior, not waiting for the apology, not waiting for a different circumstance, but is you making a powerful choice to move on with your life. What forgiveness does for us is it provides freedom from the past. You see, harboring unforgiveness leaves us stuck in a moment. There was that event, that betrayal, that time, that place, and we get stuck there and we find ourselves ruminating and we find ourselves harboring on the conversation and replaying it over and over in our minds, thinking of the things that we maybe could have or should have said, what we could have and should have done, and we're stuck. We're stuck holding on to grudges and resentments. And it keeps us in this past moment and it prevents us from moving forward. And whether we realize it or not, this stunts our growth. Unforgiveness stunts our growth, our creativity, and our ability to engage with the future and our ability to engage in the present. Because you know exactly what I'm talking about, where we get in that place where we're ruminating and we're stuck and we're here, but we're not really here. I'm gonna be honest with you, this is a big problem for me. I'm a writer, which means I'm constantly thinking about words and what was said and how it was said. And so often I have had my wife look at me as I'm home with her, engaging with her and with our children. And she goes, "You're here, but you're not here." And she'll ask me the question, "Where are you right now? What are you thinking about? What conversation are you replaying? What eventuality are you going through?" So many of us find ourselves like Doctor Strange in that, I think it was in the last Avengers movie. Oh yeah. It was the one where he's talking about how they can defeat Thanos and he's just sitting there like this. And he goes, I went through all of the eventualities and possibilities, and there's only one way. Well, a lot of us find ourselves doing that. Looking back on this past moment, thinking, man, if I had just said this, or if I had just did this, or if I responded in this way. We can't engage in the present, and we can't even think about the future, because where we are is stuck in a moment. Stuck in a moment that is past, that is gone, that cannot be changed, and is currently having too much power over our mental and emotional well-being. But what also happens is that we look at others and we trap them in that same moment. In our minds, they are always that lousy version of themselves. We have no room for grace, no room for growth, no room for empathy, for understanding that maybe when this happened, and it's not to excuse anyone's bad behavior, but maybe they were going through something in their lives. Maybe what they were experiencing is what caused them to act in this way. My 10-year high school reunion was quite some time ago, now that I think about it. But at this 10-year reunion, a bunch of us are together and we're walking through the streets of the city, and this guy says to me, I don't know what I said, but he goes, that's why I never liked you, because you were that. And he starts listing all of these things about 17-year-old me. And I looked at him and I go, that's really unfortunate that you're holding on to this past version of me, but that's not who I am today. And I will not allow who I am today to be judged by this version of me that you have stuck in a moment in time. When we harbor unforgiveness, that is what we do to people. We trap them as this prior version of themselves. And we think, you'll never be different. You'll never change. And for some people, they don't. They remain that lousy version of themselves. But what about the person who does? Did you just miss out on what could be beautiful growth in them, on what could be an opportunity for reconciliation and repair because you only see them as this one thing? It's like going rucking emotionally. Rucking is this sport where people load up really heavy backpacks and go for long hikes. It's meant to test your endurance and your strength and build you up. But when what we're doing is emotional rucking, it has the exact opposite effect. We're now walking through life with a backpack strapped to us full of emotional damage, and harboring unforgiveness is like carrying every little offense and unresolved issue with us, carrying every unresolved conflict, every past hurt, every broken relationship. Every step that you take is weighed down by these emotions. And the really unfortunate part is because of this emotional weight that we're carrying, we can never actually truly show up as our full selves because we're weighed down by these things, by these events. And this is not to downplay or minimalize our trauma, because I understand we are the sum total of all that has happened to us. We are a product of everything we've experienced, good and bad, in this life. But what forgiveness does is forgiveness allows us to unload the backpack. And with each weight that we remove, the load is just a little bit lighter. And you're able to move forward a little more freely and a little more comfortably. Take a few moments and reflect on what's in your backpack. What pain are you carrying around with you? What are you holding on to? How would forgiveness help you to release that weight? Now, forgiveness is not some one size fits all solution. No. You're going to have to do the hard work of deciding, what does forgiveness look like for you? Is it reconciliation and repair, or is it simply a release? Maybe the person who has offended you, who has hurt you, who has betrayed you is no longer around, and therefore you can't seek reconciliation. In that instance, what can the release of the weight in your emotional backpack look like? I believe that forgiveness is a powerful choice. Forgiveness isn't obligatory. You don't have to do it. You don't have to forgive the person. You can choose to walk through life holding on to every grudge and every slight, but you will be a truncated version of yourself. You will be the smallest version of who you can possibly be by being that person. And I say that as someone who comes from a long line of people who hold grudges. See, that's that good old Caribbean blood in me. We're going to tell you what you did and how you did it and what time you did it and what we had for breakfast on the day you did it. But that's no way to live. That's no way to walk through life. Honestly, it's no way to treat with and deal with people. If you so choose, your life can be marked by all of the pain that you've experienced. That can be your ID card. Or your life can be marked by forgiveness, grace, empathy, understanding, resilience. But you have a choice to make. It's a conscious choice to let go of the emotional burden that you are carrying. This isn't about the other person because they may never apologize. They may never admit they were wrong. In fact, they may continue to give you an alternative perspective on the events. They may continue to tell you that what you experienced is not what you experienced, and what you've been through is not what you've been through. And actually, you're just seeing things all wrong, and you just misinterpreted it. And really, it's all your fault. even if you both know that's not true. But what forgiveness does, by making that choice, is it allows you to let go, to release, to not be controlled by bitterness, anger, resentment, or despair. It is a choice to have freedom. Because in the event that you have been wronged, and you know it, and they know it, I'm a firm believer in MLK's words that the arc of history bends towards justice. And I think almost every single time that time and distance prove what is right and true. So I can forgive you. I don't need to carry that weight. I don't need to bear this burden on my back because I know that the day will come when I will be vindicated. And you know what? Even if that day doesn't come, I don't need to spend my life waiting for it. There's an old saying that unforgiveness is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. Choosing forgiveness is the choice to stop drinking the poison. It's big. It gives you back the power. It allows you to regain your peace of mind, and you cannot put a price on peace of mind. It's important for you to recognize that forgiveness is for your healing and for your growth. It's not about absolving the other person. It's not about making them feel good. This is the moment that you can choose to reclaim your peace by choosing to forgive. Choosing to forgive is not weakness. It is not saying what they did is okay. It is not justifying their actions. It is you saying that I'm going to take all of this and I'm letting it go. I'm releasing it. I'm all right, and you're going to be all right too. What forgiveness is forgiveness opens the door. It opens the door to new possibilities because the ruminating, the stewing, the wallowing, it takes up precious mental and emotional space, and it can keep you from seeing opportunities that are in front of you. You might be so mad at one particular person that when another person comes along who's offering you something good, you can't see it because they remind you of the person who wronged you. Unforgiveness erects barriers that we may not even be aware are there. Unforgiveness, I think it's like a locked door. Like we want to get in the house, but we can't, and the door is locked, and there's so much in the house that is there and available to us, but we can't get inside. Forgiveness is the key. Forgiveness is the key to unlocking the door to that house. And once we get inside, we see that there's so much available to us, that there are possibilities that maybe we couldn't even imagine, that we couldn't see because we were locked out, because we were stuck on the outside. Consider what might you have missed out on in life? What opportunities in your career, your relationships, in personal growth you may have missed because you were harboring unforgiveness, because you were holding on to whatever moment that was in which you were hurt. My wife reminded me of a really pivotal truth when I was faced with one of those difficult work situations. She looked at me and she goes, 5 years from now, you're not going to care about this. 5 years from now, this is not going to be the thing at the top of your mind. You won't be thinking about that place or those people. So why are you letting this drag you down now? And I know the answer. The answer is because it was that moment. It was there. It was present. But she was right. When we zoom out and take a larger perspective, we recognize that the things that we are frustrated with and upset about it, and they dominate our minds 5 years from now, will they matter? Because here's what I also know to be true. Life goes on. Whatever it is we're dealing with, whatever it is that we are facing, ultimately, and this is so true, life keeps going. We keep it pushing. You know, the thing that was, think back to when you were a teenager. At 14, 15, 16, the things that you were stressed about, the things that were keeping you up at night, you laugh at them now. Because time and distance have shown you This is not the end of the world. This is not all of your life and all that you are. But maybe you're wondering, CJ, what about when the person who wronged you isn't a friend or an employer? What if it's a parent, a sibling, someone really close to you? To that, I say each case is different. I'm not a fan of the whole, we're just going to completely go no contact. But again, every case is different. And in some cases, that is warranted. What I like to think of is I think about us being cautious and safe and wise. Forgiveness is not an opportunity for you to open yourself up to be re-traumatized. Forgiveness is not license for someone to betray and hurt you again. Forgiveness is not putting yourself in unsafe situations, whether they be mental, emotional, physical, or psychological. What I like to believe is that we can leave a door open. The door is open for reconciliation. The door is open for repair. But I'm not running through it. I am not just going to purposely, especially when there's been no sign of changed behavior, going to put myself in a position to be harmed again. But if you are willing to change, if you are willing to show something different, I'm here. I'm actually experiencing this in my life right now with someone close to me. I have decided that I won't completely cut things off, but I'm also not going there. If your behavior changes, if you are willing to show something different, to be different, the door is open. You have the opportunity to walk through it or not. But in my heart, I'm releasing the emotional burden. I'm releasing the baggage. Now, that doesn't mean, because I think we hear this and sometimes we think, oh, well, then I'm never going to think about this thing again. It'll never upset me again. It doesn't always work like that. But it is making the choice that maybe when the thoughts come up, because we have power over our thoughts, I'm going to choose not to ruminate. I'm going to choose not to sit here and stew, to replay the conversations. Do you know, I experience this the most in the shower. I get in the shower, water's flowing, it's this ambient noise, brain starts going, and for whatever reason, I jump to replaying conversations. And it is in those moments I have to say, why are you thinking about this right now? This is not where your mind needs to be or should be, and I redirect my thoughts. I'm not giving this the precious real estate that it does not deserve in my head or in my heart. And that's a difficult thing. It's one of those things where we learn to increase our capacity. So maybe you were able to kick the thought out in 30 seconds today. Maybe tomorrow you can kick it out in 25. And maybe the next day in 20. And honestly, daily progress like that isn't really likely. But over the course of time, what does that look like? Forgiveness is a long and complicated road. And when we're trying to decide if we should let people back in, we consider the words of Auntie Maya. When people show you who they are, believe them. So if you've shown me who you are and that person is harmful, that person is unsafe, that person isn't good to be around, then I understand the choices I need to make with that. But if I forgive, but I forgive from a distance and I open the door, you've got to show me a new version of yourself before I can just let you back in. Here's why forgiveness is so important. Here's why forgiveness is the key to your future success. Because life happens. People are going to hurt you. People are going to disappoint you. We are going to experience loss, disappointment, unmet expectations, unclear expectations. But we have a choice. We can hold on to these things, or we can pick ourselves up and keep going. You see, that emotional backpack that we're wearing, we're never wearing it for just one event. It's a series of events over the course of our lives. And so if we're going to be people who don't forgive, then that backpack is just going to get heavier and heavier as life and people and jobs and all those other things disappoint us and hurt us and cause damage to us. But post traumatic growth tells us that forgiveness, that each time we practice it, we are growing in our capacity to face the hard things of life. Each time we practice forgiveness, we are saying to ourselves, you are strong and you can move on and you can keep going. And while life might hurt you and might scar you and you might be bent, but you will not be broken. Forgiveness is such a powerful tool. It is life-changing, truly. It'll change you from the inside, and that'll ultimately change your outside. How you deal with people in this world, how you deal with tragedy and pain and loss and betrayal. But listen, I know my audience. One of you out there right now is saying to yourself, CJ, I hear you, but I'm going to continue to harbor resentment. I'm not forgiven. It was just too much. I don't have to forgive anybody for anything. And I ask you, how's that working out? Is that who you want to be in this world? Is that how you want to show up? How's that backpack? You feeling a little sluggish yet? Maybe, just maybe, you can try to go in the other direction and see what that does for you. But what do I know? I'm just some guy from Brooklyn.